Amador County's local television network, TSPN. And now back to a TSPN outreach presentation. The Amador Water Agency's Director's Midterm Update on TSPN.
And we're talking this morning about the Amador Water Agency water systems, and we're here with Director Rich Farrington, who is District 3 Director for the Upcountry, and with Board President Paul Molinelli Sr. He's the District 1 Director for the Jackson area. And in this section, we want to talk about the Upcountry Water System, COP. People may not even be familiar with COP, but that's the initial Central Amador Water Project for the Upcountry system. And it is separated from the rest of the lower county on what's called the Amador water system. And Rich, just describe again, we talked about this earlier, but just briefly how that's separated and how it was built, when it was built.
The water is taken out of the Tiger Creek afterbay down on the McCollum River and pumped up over 1,200 feet up this deep canyon to the treatment plant at Buckhorn. And from there, the water is distributed. But the system, as I think you mentioned earlier, used to be 10 isolated, separate community water systems. And in 76, 77, during that big drought, they were all sort of merged together when the county put it, wells went dry and people were out of water, so the county quickly built this emergency pipeline and the pumping system. And there's a nice diagram that shows on the screen from taking the water from the river and pumping it up
to Buckhorn, a pretty steep canyon.
Very deep canyon. And our drinking water comes from melted snow in the high country, and what we're doing is we're letting that water flow down the McCollum River to this lower point, and then we're paying PG&E to pump it 1,200 feet out. And instead, we want to try and flow that down to us by gravity.
We also have a schematic. This is an engineer's drawing of all the parts and pieces of the COP system. And it's we don't expect you to absorb all of this, but you can look at the number of tanks that are interconnected, because they used to be tanks that accommodated those well systems, and those tanks get filled up with treated water and then flow out from there to the neighborhoods that they serve. But this is uphill and down dale.
You just look at that drawing and you say, geez, this is complex. And there's so many little, what we need are probably a few big tanks, not all these little tanks and all the maintenance and the...
And they've got valves, and the water agency has a computerized system now. I don't know if every single one of those, but because you have to keep an eye on their water levels for each one of them.
Yeah, it's all electronic monitoring, high-tech stuff.
Right. The COP system has some special challenges, in large part because of geography. And what are those?
Well, first of all, there are two big pumping stations to get the water out of this deep canyon, and there's 6 giant pumps that are involved. So keeping those things running, keeping them coordinated, and we've had problems with them breaking down and had to modify them, whatever. This spread out as people are up there, and it was pointed out that there were these original 10 different districts that have been consolidated and tied together, linked together as one.
I want to jump in and say that system of delivering water from Tiger Creek up the canyon is vulnerable on several levels, just aging and wear and tear, but snow
and power outages. If you have to pump, you got to have.
And fire has both stopped the system.
Well, and lightning. Last year we had the system shut down twice because of lightning strikes. In fact, one of the lightning strikes set a house on fire in Buckhorn at the time when the pumps were shut down. The electronics were disabled, and it was a miracle that the fire got out and didn't spread into the forest.
And fire protection and water for fire protection, we have a photograph of a pipe stand which serves as a fire hydrant in the Mace Meadow area, and it's hard to see that thing. But many of those neighborhoods were built to be summer vacation cabins. Now people live year round. They're there in the winter, and they're concerned about fire protection.
That's true. And let me just say that the deliverance of water by gravity is a no-brainer. It just is the most natural way to send water from one place to the other.
Brings us to the gravity supply line. So that's a project the board of the Amador Water Agency has approved building the gravity supply line. What is that, and how will it work?
Well, first of all, the gravity supply line, or some people call it GSL, is fully funded. It's approved, and construction is scheduled to start this fall. It is not, and it's all being paid for by the customers Upcountry.
And a very large grant.
Primarily by a grant. We couldn't do it if we didn't have the grant.
The grant is over $5 million.
Over $5 million.
So it's a pipeline, a gravity pipeline, not a pumped pipeline. Just like the gravity pipelines that run from Tanner to Ione, Tanner to Plymouth, Tanner to Jackson, it's going to run downhill.
Right.
And it starts...
It starts in upper Tiger Creek drainage in a PG&E reservoir that holds over 180 million gallons, which is a great asset here, not only letting the water flow downhill through this pipe by gravity. We've got this huge amount of water up there. If there were a big fire, which is a big concern that I have, it would give us a more plentiful water supply.
And some new access points, I think, for fire tankers
to fill up. 4 new hydrants directly on this line, and the amount of water is much greater, probably 10 or 15 times more than we get out of some of the local fire hydrants.
So will power outages then will people be asked to have to conserve during power outages? I mean, how will power outages affect the gravity supply line?
It really won't. There won't be any pumping, no pumps to shut down.
So the water
runs.
It's
all coming gravity.
No
there are a few isolated locations that where we have to pump up, but those are small pumps. They're not these gigantic ones that we're currently using to get the water out of the canyon. And we have small backup generators to operate those. So no, it takes a huge problem away from the risk of a lightning strike or fire or a power outage or mechanical failure.
And costs for running the gravity supply line?
The GSL is going to reduce our costs.
Because?
Well, there's a big savings. I mean, right now, probably this year, the customers would save $300,000 net, approximately, and that money will go towards paying helping to pay for the gravity line, and that's because of the power bill to run those big pumps. That's the biggie, yeah. And in 10 years, if we stay on these pumps, we'll be paying probably $450,000 a year for PG&E alone just to pump.
And why are we doing this now? I mean, you guys have had a lot on your plate financially. What's the push?
First of all, it's about time. This GSL, or the gravity supply line, has been on the drawing board since, I think, 1992.
Oh, okay. So it's
no
recent push.
Currently, every locally elected group of people that have an interest in the deliverance of water supports it. It's time. But by the way, we could not do it without the grant. And the grant now is there, over $5 million, so it is a time to do it.
These larger grants coming from the recovery money from the federal government what became available.
I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be great for Amador County.
Will the gravity supply line bring more water? I think some people some critics have said it will stimulate growth. Is it bigger than the current pipe?
Well, yes, but that's common sense. I mean, you wouldn't put in the same size pipe that we have now. But We talked about fire, and you showed a picture of that standard standpipe, which is not a fire hydrant, really. This system upcountry is not designed for a big fire that would come into the area. We're not even meeting the current standards for fire flows in virtually all of the areas up there. So we need more water. We have to have that capability if a wildfire were burning up to, or if a fire got started inside a developed area and started spreading, we've got to have a huge amount of water to put that out.
The water agency will let other governmental agencies be concerned about growth. We are only concerned about delivering water and serving the needs of every community in the county.
So the main emphasis then is to save money, to get around the power outage problem, and to improve fire protection for the folks upcountry.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, and so, but the Buckhorn Water Treatment Plant is also only of a certain size. It's not being expanded in this
Right.
It's
in this
not.
project.
No.
So it whatever it can deliver, that's how much water the upcountry is going to get, at least at this point, till
It's-
some other day in the future.
That's finite. I mean, it can only deliver what it can deliver unless it's upgraded at a later date, but right now, it's limited.
Well, we have just a couple minutes left. Both of you have been through a lot with the finances of the agency and projects that need to happen. But in looking forward in the next couple of years, just quickly, what do you want to see happen in the next couple of years, Paul? What would
Well-
you like to accomplish?
Well, as far as the water agency, I think.
Yes, yes, I do.
Well, I'd like to leave if I do not stand for re-election. I'd like to see this water agency on a solid financial footing, and be in a position to maintain and deliver water at an affordable price.
And you think you're getting there?
I do. It's a slow process. Government runs slow.
Yeah.
I've learned.
Yeah.
But I think we are. We're making great strides, I believe.
And how about you, Rich?
I pretty much very similar. I think we need to continue to reform and streamline the water agency and keep it fiscally responsible. Continue to work on trying to reduce customer water bills, including wastewater, and look for common sense solutions. Continue to implement recommendations of the grand jury and improve the agency's accounting policies and procedures, build back up our operating reserves that was mentioned earlier by Director Toy. Upcountry, build the GSL.
You have a long list.
Improve our fire protection and improve our maintenance.
And we have to go, but I want to thank Rich Farrington and Paul Molinelli Sr.
Thank you, Lucy.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for watching TSPN's outreach presentation, the Amador Water Agency's Director's Midterm Update on TSPN. The views and opinions expressed in this program are solely those of the persons who express those views and opinions during this program, and not necessarily those of TSPN TV, Comcast, or Volcano Vision. Thank you.